Have you noticed that summer doesn't feel the way it used to? The heat seems more intense. The nights don't cool down as much, and even a short walk outside can leave you feeling completely drained. If you're over 60, this isn't just your imagination. Your body really does respond to heat differently than it did 20 or 30 years ago. And that's exactly why this summer deserves a little more attention than usual. Many people believe that the biggest danger comes from spending too much time in direct sunlight, but that's only part of the story. In fact, some of the most serious heat-related emergencies happen indoors, where people believe they're perfectly safe. They stay home, avoid the sun, and assume there's nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, that's a mistake that catches many older adults by surprise every year. The good news is that most heat-related problems can be prevented. You don't need expensive equipment or complicated medical knowledge. You simply need to understand what your body is trying to tell you before it reaches a dangerous point. By the end of this video, you'll know the warning signs that many people miss, the simple habits that make a huge difference, and the common mistakes that can quietly put your health at risk during extreme heat. Let's start with something that surprises many people. As we grow older, our bodies become less efficient at cooling themselves. When we were younger, sweating happened quickly, blood vessels adjusted faster, and the heart could usually handle the extra work without much effort. Over time, those natural cooling systems become slower. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's simply one of the many changes that come with aging. The challenge is that most people don't notice these changes happening. They still think their body is responding the same way it did years ago. That's why they keep following the same routines, even though those routines may no longer be safe during extremely hot weather. Does this sound familiar? You wake up feeling fine. You make breakfast, water the garden, maybe run a few errands, and suddenly you feel exhausted. You tell yourself you probably didn't sleep well last night. Maybe you're just getting older. Maybe you're having an off day. But sometimes what feels like ordinary tiredness is actually your body struggling to keep its temperature under control. That's one of the reasons heat can be so dangerous after 60. The early warning signs often look harmless: mild dizziness, a headache, feeling unusually tired, a little nausea, slight confusion. These symptoms can easily be blamed on poor sleep, stress, or simply having a busy day. Unfortunately, waiting until you feel really thirsty isn't a reliable strategy anymore. Many older adults don't experience thirst as strongly as they once did. Your body may already be running low on fluids long before you actually feel the urge to drink. In other words, thirst can arrive late. Think about that for a moment. Imagine driving a car where the fuel warning light only turns on after the tank is almost empty. You wouldn't want to rely on that warning. The same idea applies here. Waiting until you're very thirsty may mean your body has already started struggling. This is why doctors often encourage older adults to drink fluids regularly throughout the day, especially during heat waves, instead of waiting for thirst to remind them. Now, here's another misconception. Many people believe that if they're sitting quietly indoors, they're automatically protected. But indoor temperatures can climb surprisingly high, especially if there's little air circulation. Apartments on upper floors, homes with large windows, and buildings without air conditioning can stay dangerously warm for hours, even after the sun goes down. Perhaps you've experienced this yourself. You open the windows at night, hoping for cooler air, but the room still feels warm. You wake up feeling tired instead of refreshed. That isn't just uncomfortable. It can place extra stress on your body, particularly if several hot days occur in a row. Researchers have observed that prolonged heat exposure without enough nighttime cooling increases physical stress, especially in older adults. Your body doesn't get the chance to recover before facing another hot day. Another important point involves medications. Many people over 60 take medicines every day to help manage blood pressure, heart conditions, diabetes, or other chronic health issues. These medications are extremely important, and you should never stop taking them without speaking to your healthcare provider. However, some medications can influence how your body responds to heat or affect fluid balance. That's why it's worth asking your doctor or pharmacist whether any of your regular medications require extra caution during periods of extreme heat. It's a simple conversation that could make a meaningful difference. Let's talk about one habit that seems harmless but can quietly increase your risk. Some people try to finish all their outdoor chores early in the morning before it gets too hot. That sounds reasonable. But when temperatures stay high overnight, even the early morning may already place considerable stress on your body. If you begin working immediately after waking up without drinking enough fluids or taking breaks, your body may already be starting at a disadvantage. Have you ever said to yourself, "I'll just be outside for 10 minutes"? 10 minutes often becomes 30, then 45. Before you realize it, you're feeling weak, sweaty, and unusually tired. Heat doesn't always arrive with dramatic warning signs. Sometimes it builds slowly, almost quietly, until your body reaches a point where it struggles to recover quickly. That's why paying attention to how you feel is just as important as checking the weather forecast. Many people focus only on the outside temperature, but humidity matters too. When humidity is high, sweat doesn't evaporate as efficiently. Since evaporation is one of your body's main cooling systems, high humidity makes it harder for your body to release excess heat. In simple terms, you can become overheated much faster, even if the thermometer doesn't seem unusually high. This also explains why 2 days with the same temperature can feel completely different. One day feels manageable. The next feels exhausting. The difference may not be your imagination. It may simply be the humidity, making it much harder for your body to cool itself naturally. And there's another warning sign that deserves more attention than it usually receives: confusion. Most people expect heat illness to begin with heavy sweating or extreme thirst. But in older adults, unusual confusion, difficulty concentrating, or acting differently than normal can sometimes be among the earliest signs that the body is struggling. Family members often notice these changes before the person experiencing them does. Someone may repeat the same question several times. They may seem unusually forgetful. They may appear slower to respond during a conversation. These changes should never be ignored during a heat wave. They don't automatically mean something serious is happening, but they do mean it's time to cool down, drink fluids if appropriate, and pay close attention to how you're feeling. Sometimes, those small signs are your body's way of asking for help long before an emergency develops. Unfortunately, many people don't realize how quickly mild heat stress can turn into something much more serious. It rarely happens all at once. More often, it develops step by step. You feel a little tired. Then you become a bit dizzy. You decide to sit down for a few minutes because you think you simply overdid it. But instead of feeling better, you notice your heart beating faster. Your thoughts become less clear. Standing up suddenly feels harder than it should. This gradual progression is one reason heat-related illnesses are so easy to underestimate. Most people expect danger to announce itself loudly. In reality, it often whispers first. Have you ever noticed that during very hot weather you lose interest in eating? Many people do. While eating less for a day may not seem like a problem, skipping meals completely can leave your body without the energy and essential nutrients it needs to cope with physical stress. Light meals with fruits, vegetables, and foods that contain water can often be much easier to tolerate than heavy meals during periods of extreme heat. Sleep is another piece of the puzzle that many people overlook. When your bedroom stays warm throughout the night, your body has a harder time entering deep, restorative sleep. You may spend 8 hours in bed and still wake up feeling exhausted. Then, because you're already tired, the next hot day feels even more difficult. It's a cycle. Poor sleep makes it harder to tolerate heat, and heat makes it harder to sleep. Breaking that cycle can make an enormous difference. If the evening air becomes cooler than the indoor temperature, opening windows safely to improve airflow may help. Using a fan can increase comfort. Although fans alone may not provide enough protection during extremely high temperatures, closing curtains or blinds during the hottest part of the day can also reduce the amount of heat entering your home. These are simple habits, but together they can noticeably reduce the strain on your body. Another common mistake is believing that drinking a large amount of water all at once is enough for the entire day. Your body doesn't work that way. It's generally better to drink fluids regularly throughout the day instead of consuming a very large amount at one time, and then going several hours without drinking. Small, consistent amounts are usually easier for your body to use effectively. Of course, if your doctor has told you to limit your fluid intake because of heart failure, kidney disease, or another medical condition, you should follow your healthcare provider's advice rather than making changes on your own. This is not about drinking as much as possible. It's about giving your body what it needs based on your personal health situation. Now let's talk about clothing. Many people continue wearing dark, heavy fabrics simply because they're comfortable or familiar. But during extreme heat, lightweight, loose-fitting clothing and lighter colors can help your body release heat more effectively. It sounds almost too simple to matter. Yet small adjustments like this can reduce discomfort throughout the day. The same is true for your daily schedule. If you have flexibility, try moving physically demanding activities to the coolest part of the day. Better yet, ask yourself whether every task truly needs to be done immediately. Many of us were raised to believe that productive people push through discomfort, but during a heat wave, resting isn't laziness. It's good judgment. Your garden can wait. The lawn can wait. Even some errands can wait. Your health should always come first. There's another group of people who deserve special attention during periods of extreme heat. Those who live alone. If you live by yourself, there may not be anyone nearby to notice the early signs that something isn't right. That's why staying connected becomes especially important during heat waves. A simple phone call from a family member, a quick text from a neighbor, checking in with a friend. These small acts can make a remarkable difference. Likewise, if you have an older parent, relative, or neighbor, don't assume they're fine simply because they haven't asked for help. Many people hesitate to mention that they're struggling. They don't want to bother anyone. They believe they'll be okay if they just rest a little longer. Sometimes, that delay can make a difficult situation much worse. One of the kindest things you can do during extremely hot weather is to simply ask, "How are you feeling today?" That question may be more valuable than you realize. Let's discuss exercise for a moment. Staying physically active is one of the best things you can do for healthy aging. But extreme heat changes the equation. A walk that feels easy in spring or autumn may become much more demanding during a heat wave. That doesn't mean you should stop moving completely. Instead, adjust, walk earlier, choose shaded areas, reduce the distance if necessary. Listen to your body instead of trying to match yesterday's routine. Healthy aging isn't about proving that nothing has changed. It's about adapting wisely to the changes that naturally occur. One warning sign that should never be ignored is fainting. If someone becomes unconscious during hot weather, even briefly, it should always be treated seriously. Confusion, seizures, a very high body temperature, difficulty waking someone up, or loss of consciousness require immediate medical attention. These aren't symptoms to watch and wait. They're reasons to seek emergency care without delay. Fortunately, most people never reach that point. And that's exactly why recognizing the earlier warning signs matters so much. The earlier you respond, the easier it usually is to prevent a medical emergency. Sometimes the most effective solutions aren't dramatic. Move to a cooler place. Rest. Drink fluids if appropriate for your health. Loosen unnecessary layers of clothing. Use cool, damp cloths on your skin. Allow your body time to recover before returning to activity. Simple actions taken early can often make a tremendous difference. Here's something else worth remembering. You don't need to feel embarrassed if the heat affects you more than it affects someone else. Every person's body responds differently. Age, medications, chronic health conditions, humidity, sleep quality, and even what you ate that day can all influence how well you tolerate high temperatures. Comparing yourself to others isn't helpful. Listening to your own body is. Many people spend years believing that slowing down means they're becoming weak. But that's not the whole story. Sometimes slowing down is exactly what allows you to remain strong. Real strength isn't ignoring your body signals. Real strength is respecting them.